Rise and shine, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well today. As you guys come on in, say what's up. I'll try and shout you out. In this live, I'm going to try to keep this one short and sweet and to the point, okay? I really want to try and get through this because the point is to teach you guys about logical fallacies or critical thinking fallacies, and also debate no-nos, okay? Peace to you, Sakona. Welcome in, love. It's good to see you. Nita, peace to you. Go ahead and pull this screen up. I ain't playing around today. We ain't going to take long. We're going to get right into this topic, man. But let me highlight you guys. Sakona, peace to you. Welcome in. Hope you guys are ready for a good conversation. Nita, peace to you, love. Says, hey, Kevin in chat. Rise to you. Tawanda Reddit says, hi. Hey to you, Tawanda. Sakona says, ditto. Thanks. Absolutely, Sakona. Stay with me, please, guys. I want you guys to try and absorb what I'm trying to say here. Okay. Today's live is about exposing the logical fallacies in specifically Darwin's argument. And I want to show you guys what I mean by exposing the logical fallacies in his argument. Okay. Again, welcome in. Nina says, hey, Kevin in the chat. Peace to you. Lynette, peace to you. Jace Tatum, I don't think I spoke to you as well. Peace to you. Gwen Patterson, peace to you. Ellis Williamson, peace to you. Catherine, Blue, Bilou, peace to you. Black Flower, what's up with you? Welcome in, welcome in. Nina says, hey, Kevin in chat. I'm sorry, Nika Ray, forgive me. Hey, Kevin in chat. Peace to you, Nika Ray. Black Flower speaking to the chat. Everybody say, what's up to Black Flower 80? All the Wooden 2888 says, hey, family, peace to you. Yeah, guys, I am going to try to get into this and get through this live. My son comes home tomorrow. Israel does. I'll still be waiting on Justice and Cindy, but Israel, I'll get to see him again tomorrow. And it's been 2 months. I miss my boy. So I'm really excited about that. That being said, I'm going to try to get a good night's sleep so he can get prepared for my son. And that being said, we're going to try to get through this live. This video is actually 11 minutes. I couldn't make it through 5 of it the last time. We were talking about, because we had not a heated discussion, but a good discussion, a great discussion around this. But Kevin, why are you talking about logical fallacies? What's the point? Well, I want you guys to understand, if you guys learn logical fallacies, there will be no need to worry about if you're being manipulated. There'll be no need to worry about if you can be tricked or duped. And most of us, we get duped and tricked because we didn't learn how to critically think. We did not learn how to think logically. Okay. And I think that's a great skill that we should all try and learn. Okay. So if you've never learned to think logically, and you may be a great thinker, but thinking logically is a little bit different. Okay. So you guys know we have many belief systems that cover our world. Belief systems change over time. They get, change based on the culture, based on the area you live in. Things will be subject to changing, right? But we're going to deal with this. Let me say this: logic, as it were. Okay. The way I see logic is consistent across time. Okay. I'm going to say it again. Logic is consistent across time. It's not like belief systems. All right. A belief may be true for one generation and false for the next. But logic doesn't ask for faith. It demands proof. It demands critical thought. Okay. It demands experience. It grounds us not in tradition, but in reason. And that reason will hold steadily today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Okay. Long after opinions change, long after beliefs change, logic will still be a foundation that we can all stand upon. Okay. Logic is consistent across time. Absolutely, absolutely, Sakona. Logic is steadfast and firm yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You'll never go wrong using logic, ever. Okay, but you have to be able to use it. Okay, it's a skill. Last time we did this review, we talked about how Bahimi came in and told Darwin that he was being manipulative. And I was saying to you guys, there's no need to point that he's being manipulative out. When you're doing a debate, you should enter into it with good faith. What does that mean? You should enter into a debate giving the other person the benefit of the doubt that they believe what they're saying, not that they're manipulating you, that they actually believe what it is that they're saying, and refute the topic of discussion without saying, I think you're being manipulative. I think you're being unfair. I think you're being biased. These are called ad hominems in a debate format. Now, at home, we typically do that. We typically start talking about what we think of the person when they give us a thought or idea. But I always tell you guys, these actually break down a conversation. I hate when I say my thought and someone can't refute the thought, so they just say he's manipulating. To me, it's weak. And I know that a lot of us are very strong thinkers, and I don't want us taking the low-hanging fruit that we believe somebody's manipulated, or we believe that their opinion sounds dumb. Consider that there are other people listening, and just saying their opinion sounds dumb or they sound manipulative, it won't actually refute what they're saying. And you have to, again, use good faith. Believe that they are truly believing what they're saying and refute the idea. Okay, refute the argument. Don't be argumentative in refuting the argument. Okay. Sakona says, oh my God, women do that a lot. Discernment is critical. It's true. And I'll tell you the truth. Men do it too. We're quick to call a woman a pick-me. We're quick to call a man a simp without actually debating what he's talking about. And based on my opinions around should men avoid marrying single mothers, other men may in fact call me a simp because I disagree. But simply calling me a simp doesn't point out the flaw in my logic, right? It only exposes that they're giving me an ad hominem. So what if I'm a simp? Even if I were a simp, expose my logic, sir. Expose my logic, ma'am. And ladies, I know you guys know all too well what I mean. If you guys speak up to the benefit of any man, they're going to say you're a pick-me. But notice that saying that didn't refute your argument. It simply is an ad hominem. It's an insult. It groups you into a category and assumes that you are trying to be a grifter, trying to be chosen, trying to be liked by men. Same thing with calling a man a simp. It groups him into this category where he's weak, that he's not actually speaking his mind, that he is, what they call it, caking, pandering. You see what I'm saying? And that's just not wise to do when you're trying to actually bring light to a topic. So we're going to get into this. Again, guys, I said logic is consistent across time. A belief may be true for a generation and false for the next, but logic doesn't ask for faith. And this is how I confront religion. It's how I confront history. It's how I confront anything I'm being told. If someone walks up to me and said, hey, drink what's in this cup and you'll live forever, how would I refute that if they say, well, you got to believe it on faith? My logic would have to kick in, right? Should I be drinking what's in his cup just because he said I'll live forever? Logically, I would have to try to find a way to refute what he's saying. Okay, have you drank it? Do you have anyone else who's drank it? Can you drink some for me right now? Make sure it ain't poison. You understand? Is there such a drink? What do you mean by live forever? Does this mean that I'll be immortal or indestructible? Right? Does this mean that I still have to worry about bullets and cars and diseases? Or do I have to still avoid all those things, but I won't die of old age? What exactly are you saying? You understand? You would have to logically think because you can't just prove them wrong. So you'd have to use logic, right? I can't prove you wrong that the invisible elephant created the universe. But logically, I can give sound reason on why I don't believe that and probably why you shouldn't either. Do you guys understand? But let's get into it. I'm going to start from the top and we're going to go through Darwin's argument. Okay. He believes that men should stop marrying single mothers and that would cause men to step up. I want you guys to hear his argument. I want you guys to hear Bohemi's response. And then I'm going to deal with the fallacies, the flaw, okay, the logical fallacies, or the flaw or the critical thinking errors in Darwin's original thought. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to deal with it the correct way if you were in actual debate. All right, let's get into it.
If we held each other accountable, I do believe Black women would have no choice but to follow suit. And the way we do that, we got to stop cleaning up after each other. And that means if a woman has a child by another man, leave her alone. Hands off. Let that man, the one she chose, raise that child. And I think when men stop playing stepdad to another man's legacy, two things is going to happen. Women become more intentional about who they sleep with and who they let get them pregnant. And then men are forced to show up because there's no one else there to do it for them. And no, it's not hate or anything like that. Or I'm pushing and I don't like our people. It's just establishing some type of order. Stop rewarding recklessness. And I think a lot of us men are doing it. We don't like to talk about it, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. But we got to let consequences teach what comfort never will. So if you didn't create the child, you're not responsible for the cleanup. Hold the man responsible and let that woman sit with the choices she made. And I think only then will the culture or will the community start to shift. Until then, we're just enabling and calling it love. But this is a hard choice to make. But I think if we start doing this, it's going to cause a huge paradigm shift.
So he believes if you start doing this, it'll cause a huge paradigm shift. And that is that men will choose to step up for their children because nobody else is going to clean up his mess, so to speak, Darwin's words. And also that women would choose better. Okay. Now, this is his attempt at fixing the world. Okay. He believes if you do these things, then children will have fathers at home and women will choose men wiser. Okay. Let's hear Bohemi's response. Okay. I'm going to come back to Darwin because there are some flaws in his logic, but I want you guys to see the wrong way to debate this. In an actual debate, she would lose points, even though she made sound points. When I say points, she would lose points. I mean, as in actual points, right? Debates are scored. Now, when I say she's actually making some good points, I mean, she's making some good opinions. She's shining some light to to kind of some of the errors that he was saying. I think that she recognized what he was saying wasn't complete, and she just didn't know how to express that quite. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to show you guys how to critically think, how to use your mind as it relates to logical fallacies. And this will keep you out of a lot of trouble, and it'll also keep you from being manipulated. Your brain will be foolproof, I promise you. Let's continue. Here's her response.
So the solution is basically manipulation. We are going to not listen to anything women have to say about what they need in order to feel safe with men, in order to actually be in these relationships and be healthy and happy. The answer that I just heard is to manipulate and to back women into a corner, because there could be many different reasons a woman has a baby by a man and is not with him anymore. So you're basically disciplining women into only having babies by the men that they are married to, also not letting that man die on them or divorce them or leave. Like, men, y'all have such a rigid view of how things happen. You try to put every single thing in a box, and humanity does not fit in a box. Your solution just now is literally manipulation. And you cannot manipulate a woman being left with children. Be it whatever situation. Not necessarily she did something irresponsible to have that happen. There's nothing irresponsible about a woman being married, having a baby, and getting divorced or being a widow. Like, we have to be for real right now. We have to come up with actual solutions, because your method of control is manipulation. It does nothing to solve the problem. The only thing this particular method is going to do is cause an even bigger problem. Because, and I also want you all to get the word legacy completely out of your vocabulary, because I can guarantee you there will be no one that remembers most of you guys' names. Your names aren't on buildings. Your names are not in subdivisions. You can't use your names. You don't have a legacy that you're leaving to a child. You do have lineage, though. So taking care of another man's lineage would be the verbiage that you would use.
Good
legacy
for you, M. White.
Men who are building communities, who have built things with their names on it, who are in history and record books. That's a legacy. That's what you leave your children. The legacy is what you leave your children.
All right. So
real thing.
Okay, so I want you guys to hear Darwin's response here, and then I'm going to go back and refute Darwin's original argument. All right, let's go.
I'm not surprised by you, Boheme, associating manipulation with a man, men holding men accountable, and jumping to the extreme that a man becoming deceased is a way to punish her. If you needed me to add that in there, and I just would have thought you would have used some type of intelligence to compensate for the fact that maybe if the father is deceased, then we would have a brother, an uncle, or his father, or a close male relative to pick up the slack. But I know some people need to be breadcrumbed until that type of intelligence. So there you have it. But no, the solution is accountability, not manipulation. What's manipulative is creating a life with a man you don't respect and then expecting another man to raise the child. What's manipulative is removing choice from good men, putting them in emotional traps, using guilt, shame, or hero messaging to make them play cleanup crew. Choosing to walk away from that setup is not manipulation. It's protection, it's boundaries, it's finally saying no to being used as a second chance for someone else's bad choices or bad decisions. If holding people to the consequences of their own choices is now considered manipulation, then maybe the real issue is the expectation of being rescued without responsibility. That's the issue.
So you don't feel like
Want to stop there. Now, I'm going to read some of your comments, and then we're going to start this thing from the top, okay? So Kona says that's an ignorant mindset. Now, again, ignorant means to be ignoring or be overseeing some things that are actually there, okay? But Sakona, in a debate, you would lose points for that. To simply say that's an ignorant mindset does not actually refute his claims or his argument, okay? She says, go deeper. Why are behaviors as such? Find solutions for those behaviors. Now you're getting somewhere. Raise awareness and education for starters. Remember, both male and female ancestors laid in the bottom of those ships. Now, there we go. Now that's making a point without an ad hominem, without attacking the argument or the man. Okay. Someone says, what's in the background noise? Geez, I'm sorry. That's my grandbaby. She's playing and things like that. Life is happening. Black says, Black Flower says, I agree with her. Okay. Let's see here. Can't completely disagree with him, says Black Lucian. Okay. What about when fathers die? Okay, and you see she kind of mentioned that as well, and then he provided an answer to that as well. Have your brothers, uncles, other men in your life to step up to the plate, right? Assuming you'd have them. Okay. Now, what does that say for her in a relationship, though? She has to be alone, and this is what a problem falls in. So let's go back and let's listen to Darwin's argument, and I'm going to show you guys how you would refute this argument in a debate. Okay, let's go.
We held each other accountable. I do believe Black women would have no choice but to follow suit. And the way we do that, we got to stop cleaning up after each other. And that means if a woman has a child by another man, leave her alone. Hands off. Let that man, the one she chose, raise that child. And I think when men stop playing stepdad to another man's legacy, two things is going to happen. Women become more intentional about who they sleep with and who they let get them pregnant. And then men are forced to show up because there's no one else there to do it for them. And no, it's not hate or anything like that. Or I'm pushing and I don't like our people. It's just establishing some type of order. Stop rewarding recklessness. And I think a lot of us men are doing that. We don't like to talk about it, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. But we got to let consequences teach what comfort never will. So if you didn't create the child, you're not responsible for the cleanup. Hold the man responsible and let that woman sit with the choices she made. And I think only then will the culture, will the community start to shift. Until then, we're just enabling and calling it love. But this is a hard choice to make. But I think if we start doing this, it's going to cause a huge paradigm shift.
Okay, now, here's how you would refute this if you were in a debate, okay? If I was here on this platform, I would say, Darwin, I respect where you're coming from. You're pushing for accountability, and that is needed. But we have to be careful because some of your reasoning is built on fallacies. These fallacies weaken the foundation of what you're saying. Let's think more critically about it. Now I would begin to go into his actual argument. Let's run his argument back.
If we held each other accountable, I do believe Black women would have no choice but to follow suit.
Already, that is a false dichotomy. So this is a logical fallacy. It's called a false dichotomy. It is to assume that there will be a result from a certain action. One or two results from a certain action when actually there's more results, okay? And so he believes that if men and women were to be held accountable, that people would automatically start following suit, choosing better options, stepping up for their children. Let me show you guys the fallacy that he is making here, all right? It's called a false dichotomy or false dilemma. Let me show it to you. Now we do this all the time whenever we think. We're always doing these, and it's very important that we try and make sure we're not having our ideas and thoughts are not riddled with logical fallacies. Okay, if you guys can see that, it says a false dichotomy. Okay, also known as a false dilemma, is a logical fallacy that presents two options as the only possibilities, when in fact there are more options that may exist. This fallacy limits the choices available and can mislead the audience into thinking that one option is true or acceptable while the other is false or unacceptable. It often arises in arguments where complex issues are oversimplified, into binary choices, obscuring the middle ground. Now, you guys can see this. This is the fallacy that he's making in the beginning of his statement, okay? Assuming that if men no longer date single mothers, that would force the fathers of those children to step up. Let's be honest, it will not. It also assumes that women will start making better choices. The biggest problem is that because men lie. Family, men lie to get in your draws. Men lie to get in a relationship with you. They will say that they want children. They'll say that they want to be there. And I'm not talking about all men, but I'm saying in a lot of cases, if you equate a woman down to being a single mother, it's her making a bad choice. It's putting all of the accountability on the woman. When in fact, women fall in love with their ears. Women fall in love with their ears, guys. A lot of times a guy is saying all the right things to this woman. And this is just a fact. Do you understand? And so a woman may not know if a guy is actually going to make good on all of his promises or his claims. His character may appear a certain way. And then in the end, his character could break down. He becomes different over time. And then she has a baby with this guy that she really thought he was going to be someone else. And guys, if you're listening to this, don't call me a simp for saying this, because you know we'll tell a lie. I can remember in my past where I didn't even give women my real name. So I know that we can lie. I know we do. Just like women will put on makeup and doll themselves up to look prettier than they actually are, we will tell lies to make ourselves be more than what we actually are. We lie, y'all. So let's be real. Men will lie to get the draws. You know we will. Okay? And for every woman that would say, hey, man, every woman that would poke the hole in the condom, there's a man that says, can I take this condom off? I just want to feel it. They'll ask to do all these things, but then as soon as they have a child on the way, they don't want the baby, but they want to do all that stuff. And if the woman has strong moral values and she does not want to eliminate the child, that would mean the man would have to step up. But now he's feeling played, right? No, I didn't want a baby. But wait a second, you know what having smacks does, right? Be real, brothers. We lie. So just to say women made a bad choice in a man is he's not looking at the whole picture. There's more than one thing here. It's not just women making a bad decision. Now we do have this thing where you can hear women all the time saying they want a bad boy. They want a guy that makes 100 bands a year, and they want a guy that stands 6 feet tall or taller. None of these things are pointing at his character. These don't point at his character. So are there women who make bad decisions? Absolutely, when they make them based on those criteria. But in large part, also, men lie. So grouping all of women into a box of they made a bad decision and a man will be cleaning up their messes is just called another fallacy. It's called a hasty generalization. Let me show you that one. Okay. Let me show you guys what a hasty generalization is. Okay. Hasty generalization fallacy. A hasty generalization fallacy occurs when a conclusion is drawn from an insufficient or unrepresentative example, leading to incorrect assumptions about a larger population. So a hasty generalization fallacy is a logical error that arises when someone makes a broad conclusion based on a small or unrepresentative sample of data. This fallacy often leads to incorrect assumptions about a group or phenomena because the evidence used to support the conclusion is inadequate. It is also known as an overgeneralization or a faulty generalization or argument from small numbers. So let's just take, there's a small number of women or a number of women that make bad choices in men because they choose bad boys. They choose guys that they feel like looks good to them, guys that are socially popular, guys who are tall, that fit an aesthetic. So yeah, there is a select group of women that choose and make bad decisions not based on character, right? But that's a hasty generalization fallacy to group all women into that category. Some women waited until they thought the man was good enough to have children with. He presented certain qualities up front. He was very different in the beginning. He was more attentive. Okay. He was more of a conversationalist. He appeared gentlemanly. He seemed like a good father figure for your children. He may have even introduced you to his parents. But a lot of men, especially early in life, we all fall to this harsh truth. We can like a woman at first, and behind us liking her, we'll introduce them to parents, we'll treat her nice, we'll do all those things that are indicative of a good man. But unfortunately, a lot of times our feelings will subside. When those feelings erode, so does our character. So does how we treat them. Because we believe a lot of men are moving off of emotion, which is feminine for men. We shouldn't simply date women because we like them. We should date them because they have the character of the mother we want for our children. okay? Because they have the character of a longevity, of a woman who will work with you, okay? And so it sounds like men are the manipulative ones. Well, in both categories, men and women can be manipulative. Do you understand? But a lot of times a man will think he likes a woman, and then those feelings will unfortunately wear off. And by that time, he's already hit it. He's already started a relationship with her. And in a lot of cases, he's already got her pregnant. I think this is why our ancestors said, yo, be married, have a firm commitment, introduce them to the tribe. Before marriage was a legal thing, marriage for us was introducing them to the tribe, building a house, getting that land and moving in together, forming an actual family before sex was had. Because for a lot of men, as soon as we have sex, we lose interest. And if men just be honest about this, if we are leaders, family, if we are leaders, we have to deduce that a lot of the way our women think is due to how we behave. Early in life, women get exposed to these type of guys, and it causes them to look at men differently. Let's be honest. And I'm not making excuses for all women, but I'm only speaking to the fact that a lot of men will lose interest after a short time, mostly after he gets the skins. It just is what it is. A lot of guys call it post-nut clarity. If you've ever heard of this PNC, post-nut clarity, okay? Soon as he busts, he like, what the hell am I doing here? What? And I'm talking about, and while he was horny, he felt every bit of those emotions that he was saying he had. And what women think is that you lied to me. You told me you was into me. You told me you wanted a relationship with me. I'm telling you, he really thought that. Most men are not actually just sitting there lying to get the draws. They actually believe what they're saying. But you can't believe a man whenever he is when he's in lust. Okay, you can't believe a man when he's in lust. And this is why you have to get to a man's values, meet his parents, understand what they're about, understand how many relationships he's been in and how long he held those relationships. This is key, family, because if you just follow up a man based on his lusts, you don't know if it's lust or love. And he'll say a lot of things out of lust that he does not know is not true. And when those feelings wear off, you're there, you're in love, you believe in the things he told you, and now you're feeling played and he wants to move on. He don't know how to tell you without hurting your damn feelings. I promise you. It's crazy, but it's true. Okay. Now, that being said, so far, there's been two flaws in Darwin's logic. Okay. Hasty generalization, which is the one I'm pointing out now, and false dichotomy. Let's continue. Let's get back to his to the screen, and we're going to continue from the rest of what Darwin is saying. I'm hoping you guys are getting something out of this. I'm not going to look at the comments as much right now. Do your thing, and I'll come back and read them. But I want to try and get through his argument, and then go from there. Let's continue.
And the way we do that, we got to stop cleaning up after each other. And that means if a woman has a child by another man, leave her alone.
Now, right there, we have to stop cleaning up for each other. And that means if a woman has a child by another man, then leave her alone. Again, hasty generalization. This assumes that every woman that is single falls into the category of a woman that you should not date. This is not true. Some of them do. Some of them are single mothers for a reason. They have bad attitudes. They're keeping their men from the children. They're talking about the man in front of their child. They're toxic. They're argumentative. They don't work well with others. They don't have longevity. A lot of them broke up with the men, don't want them around no more. A lot of them cheated. A lot of them were sleeping with multiple men, and the men didn't even know if the baby was theirs, and they had to wait until the last minute to get a DNA test to see if they was in the clear. She shouldn't expect to have a man, that man exactly, to raise her child in the home with her. Why would he want to be with her? Now, should he step up for his child? Absolutely. Every man should father his own child, even if it means by co-parenting with that mother. But you can't assume just because you have a baby with the guy that he's going to be with you. Your character is going to matter as well. And he ain't going to want somebody who had 3 or 4 possibilities and then he had to find out that it was his. Like, he's not going to want that. Okay? This is just a fact. All right? So he's not going to want to be with a woman who's, before she even has the baby, is already weaponizing it. I'm not going to let you see him. You're going to be a terrible dad. I'm talking about already saying things to chop the man down before the baby's even born. Okay? A woman who's flirting with other men while she's pregnant with another man's baby. All these things are going to point out her character as well. Both of you got to have character. It takes two to tango. Okay? A woman's likely not going to want to be with a man who's still sleeping around while he's playing boyfriend to her. While she's pregnant, he already out here cheating on her. Why would she just want to be with him? She should have every right to say, look, we can co-parent, but I don't want to be with you. You're a very dangerous man. You could bring me back something. You could have brought me back something while I was pregnant with your child, which could have also transferred this STD to your child. You're not a responsible man at all. You have no sexual discipline at all. No, I don't want to be with you. And she should have every right to make that decision and not be punished in the future for determining she does not want to be with the father of that child. That would make no sense. If she held the value of that life in high regard and said, I'm not going to end my pregnancy, but I don't want a relationship with you, she should not be punished for that. And this is why men should ask questions. Every woman doesn't fall in the category of a single mother that you shouldn't date simply because she's a single mother. Now, that's one issue with the hasty generalization. Another one is he's failing to recognize that women without children can have low character, be toxic, and have an agenda. So if we just say men shouldn't date women with children, what about the women who don't have them? Are they worthy of marriage now? Are they worthy of a relationship now simply because they don't have children? A lot of those women don't even like you. They want what you have. A lot of those women don't even want you. They just want that child support from you. You've seen it here recently. Women will get pregnant by a famous person or a celebrity or NBA player, NFL player, just to get his money from the child support. Before she did that, she had no children. So if men simply listen to this and go, okay, it's the issue is women having children. No, the issue is people with low character. That's the issue. Not women with low character, but people with low character. So if we're trying to make a contribution into how to fix our society, his view is actually very narrow-minded. But to say that in a debate, I would lose points for that. So I can point out the flaws in his logic without saying you sound manipulative, you sound ignorant, you're not seeing the whole perspective. All these are attacks on the man. So instead, I would say there are some flaws in your logic. Let's consider them. Your first one is a false dichotomy. You're believing that if men do not date single mothers, that would make men step up. That presupposes that men are not there because they think another man will take care of their child. I have never heard a man say, well, I ain't taking care of your child because I'm sure you can get somebody else to do it. What? That makes, and listen, there should never be a reason why a man isn't taking care of his child. It's your child, and a man should have enough moral code, enough dignity, enough guys, of principles to say, look, I know I didn't want the child. I know I didn't have the child with the intention, but this is my child, and I can't have a child out here that's mine, of my DNA, that I'm not going to raise. So if she'll let me, I'll raise my child. Now, all this is stipulations. If she tricked the baby on you, I think the man should have the right to have custody of that child. If she poked a hole in the condom, if she said she was on birth control and lied, if she did all these manipulative things to get a baby out of this man, I look at that like being parallel with raping someone. Okay, it's sexual exploitation. He didn't want a child. If you said no, you don't want to have sex, and he took your body, that's wrong, right? If he put you to sleep to take your body, forcefully took your body, that is wrong. If he says he does not want children, and you manipulate the situation by pretending to be on birth control, poking holes in his condoms, and doing all those types of things, he should at least get access to first dibs on his child as far as the custody is concerned. I think that way, because that's a wrong way to have a baby out of somebody. That's wrong, especially if you guys agree to the terms that you guys are not trying to have children, and you manipulated that person by saying, I'm on the pill, or you literally poke a hole in the condom. No, he should have custody of that child. And this is pending you could prove all of these things, right? But it takes two to tango. And in that case, in most cases, this is not the conversation that's being had. In most cases, a woman's not lying about birth control. She's not poking holes in a condom. And a man's not poking a hole in the condom to try and get her pregnant on purpose. Okay? But some men do that. They'll try and get you pregnant on purpose just because they think you fine. Seriously, guys, just because they think you fine, they'll do this. They'll knock you up because they think you fine. I've heard men say it. I had to do it. I had to put a baby in her. And this is without her approval. She might be saying, don't you come in me. Don't you nut in me. And I know I'm using terminology that is a little probably gross, but we all grown here. Women, you know, you guys have said that. Now, number one, there's an issue with that y'all still doing it with no condom, talking about some don't you come in me when you know that pre-cum is happening the whole time. Let me just stop being so graphic and being so straight up about it, because I don't want you guys to be turned off by the conversation, but I want you to understand that our nature a lot of times is not to wait for marriage. Our nature is not to protect ourselves. Our nature is to, when we desire somebody, we're out here doing it. And I have to call that our nature because that's what we do most of the times. But it's also in our nature to be very socially tribal. This is why blended families exist and always have existed. So to now say marrying single mothers or being with single mothers is wrong, guess what? It's not. It's not against our instincts. And this is why so many men do it. This is why so many women will play stepmother, because it's in our instincts. It's in our DNA. It's in our nature that we step parent children. It just is, family. It is. When a man meets a woman that he loves, that's what he cares about. He's not thinking about, well, you got a child. Listen, animals in nature work together to survive. Okay. That's just what we do. And so our ancestors have always known that relationships don't always last, but those children are going to need role models. And that's why we say it takes a village to raise a child, because we understand that adults may not always stay together. And when they don't, a tribe covers a multitude of sins, because a tribe works together. And what I call working together is love. I don't call it an emotion. I call it working together. Working together is love. I don't look at love as an emotion. I know we have feelings inside our chest, but I don't know if those emotions are truly what love is. Because if you're not working together, what's the point? What is the point? So I believe people who care enough about each other to work together, who see them, they're someone else's children as their own, to protect them as if that was their own. That is love. And I think that that's what we're getting away from, guys. We don't love each other anymore. Instead, we're trying to hold each other accountable when the universe does that alone. Let me be honest with you. And let me play it a little bit before I get to this next point. Let's continue.
Hands off. Let that man, the one she chose, raise that child. And I think when men stop.
Now, this assumes that the man, the one she chose to make the child with, isn't raising the child, which shows that his view is still narrow-minded here, okay? And that's what you have a collective for, to help raise some things that the person may not be seeing. So who's to say that the man is not raising his child simply because she's not with him? This is assuming that. Let that man raise his child. So if you don't date her now, he'll raise the child, which doesn't necessarily lead to him stepping up and raising this child either. But it's as if he's saying, if you raise the child, if you step up and be with her and raise her child, then he ain't going to be there. Or assuming that he's not already there. These are questions that should be asked. A man should ask, is the father of your child in his child's life? Do you guys co-parent together? Do you co-parent well together? If not, what's going on with that co-parenting? If so, explain to me how you guys co-parent. Well, he gets the child every 2 weeks without fail. He's always there for him. He calls him and talks to him an hour every day. He makes sure he always takes care of him financially. I don't have him on child support. Don't need to. He's a very responsible person. These are actually positives or green flags as it relates to, should you still date this woman with the child? But to group them all into single mothers, you should not date them, is something that Darwin's not considering. How will the children of those families be affected? And we're talking about fixing the problem. I'm afraid our world will look very different in 10 years. If we were to practice this for the next 10 years, our world will look a lot different. Here's why. Single parent homes, the child is more likely to be great. In single parent homes, the child is not raised with the same type of morals, because it takes two parents to really focus on this child and give it all it needs. These children will be raised up. It's more likely they'll be raised up with trauma. What does that trauma look like to the rest of our society, family? It's going to bleed out in some way. And if we're talking about repairing our community so the children get what they need, that is not an answer. That's not the answer. It's incomplete. Let's continue.
Playing stepdad to another man's legacy, two things is going to happen. Women become more intentional about who they sleep with and who they let get them pregnant. and then men are forced to show up because there's no one else there to do it for them.
Now, another false dichotomy. Well, it's really the same one. If men no longer step up and father children that is not theirs, men will be forced now to step up. Man, the government can't even force men to step up that don't want to be there. So you not dating her is not going to make him stand up. I don't even know why Darwin even said that. That makes no sense. However, it does make sense to say she'll likely choose better. She'll likely be more intentional with who she chooses to mate with or have children with. That may be the case, but that's not the way to get her there. Let me explain something to you guys. The problem is in our training. We're not brought up with the correct training on even how to vet a man. Our young girls, we're not teaching them how to vet a man. And a lot of our young men, we're not teaching them actually how to vet a good woman for a family. We have a broken culture. A lot of that knowledge is not being given, but that would fix the problem. Teaching them since a child, okay, on how to choose the right person. This would make them be more intentional. Now, what would make men step up? Now, watch this, family. I'm gonna make sure you guys are hearing me. I'm gonna drop this down while I say this. Okay. Here's how you would make men be more responsible as it relates to them fathering the children that they create. Disowning their ass. The answer wouldn't be don't date single mothers. It would be don't fuck with men who don't take care of their kids. Why are you drinking a beer with this nigga? Why are you hanging out with this nigga? Why are you dapping this nigga up? Why are you calling this nigga your homeboy and he don't take care of his kids, yo? So outcast his ass. He should not be in the in crowd if he don't take care of his kids. If every man and every woman said, I ain't fucking with you, bro. You got kids you don't take care of. I'm not sleeping with you. I'm not hanging out with you. You can't get a dance. You can't buy me a drink. You can't get a conversation from me. If every man say you're not rolling with me, I'm not hanging with you. I'm not doing business with you. You don't take care of your children. Do you understand what a moral devalue that is on your character to not take care of your own children? Why would you want to hang with somebody who don't take care of his own children? Why would you want to hang with somebody or do business with somebody who does not even take care of his own children? You can't, if he won't take care of his children, why would you believe he'd have your back? If he doesn't take care of his children, why would you trust him to do business with you? Do you understand what I'm saying? If a man doesn't take care of his children, he should be at the bottom of the totem pole as far as social class. I didn't say keep him from getting a job. I didn't say put him in jail, but nobody should be dealing with this dude. Do you understand? And that would force a man likely. That would more likely force a man to say, let me go take care of my kids because all my friends disown me. My father disowned me. My mama don't want to talk to me. Yeah, like in the Bible, they say take them out back and stone them, right? If they having sex, premarital sex. Now don't stone them. Outcast them though. Every father, now in the Bible, the man had to be there and throw the first stone. If his daughter was having premarital sex, he had to throw the first stone, y'all. So this is showing you that there's a responsibility on the father as well. You are the first responsibility to cut your son off if he does not take care of his children. Now, you step up for his child, but damn it, he shouldn't be able to ask you for shit else. I tell my sons this all the time. If you have a child and you don't take care of your child, if I have the means, I'll do it. But don't ask me for shit else, man. Do you understand? That's one way to get cut off from me is don't take care of your children. Because that's my responsibility as a father is to cut him off if he ever abandons his own. Because I know I didn't raise him to be that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if we're going to hold men accountable, you don't hold men accountable by not dating single mothers. You hold men accountable by disowning them. They grown. But still, I can't see any reason why that should lead to you not being with a single mother and taking part in guiding and leading her children. Because this helps to shape society in a productive way, being there for those children who don't have fathers, man. If she's a good woman, if she's a valuable woman. Do you understand? But ruling out all single mothers by saying because you have a child, we're no longer dating you. That'll make your man step up. Yeah, right. Now, what'll make men step up is disowning them, cutting them off, not hanging around them. And I said this years ago. I can't stand a man that don't take care of his damn kids. I can't stand a man that don't take care of his kids. If you don't take care of your kids, society as a whole, men or women, even if you go give your kids up for adoption, people should cut y'all off. They should cut y'all off. Nobody should be hanging with people who can't take care of their own kids they make, yo. But what I was going to say is this. What Darwin is trying to do is hold men and women accountable, even though it's half thought out, because he fails to mention that women shouldn't date men with children. He fails to mention that. Okay? That'd be crazy if we're going to stop dating single mothers, but women ain't going to stop dating men with children, assuming they made bad choices, assuming that they're not cleaning up some other woman's mess. Do you understand? I'm hoping this is making sense. If you're talking about what are constructive ways that we clean up this mess, it's not in not being step parents. That's not the answer. It's holding the people who walked away accountable by disassociating them from society. Okay? It's just a fact. That's just the best way to handle it. Because we are social creatures and we yearn for that. That'll make us step up right there. At least it's a better chance of us stepping up and being a father when all your homeboys, your mother, your daddy, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, you ain't got nobody. You ain't got nobody that you can go chill with, nobody you can hang with because you don't take care of your kids. I bet you would go take care of your damn kid. I bet you would do that. Even if it's by force, you'll get your ass over there. And I'm like that to this day. I won't deal with a man who don't take care of his kids, bro. Like they come over and trying to dap me up, man. You take care. When the last time you saw your baby? Oh, it's been like 7 months, man. Get the hell on, bro. If you got a mother that's willing to work with you and you don't want to deal with your kid, I don't think we should be hanging with you. You understand? Let me get back to it because I was going to make another point here. Hang on.
And no, it's not hate or anything like that. Or I'm pushing and I don't like our people. It's just establishing some type of order. Stop rewarding recklessness. And I think a lot of us men are doing it.
Now, here we go. There we go. Stop rewarding recklessness. Again, you're presupposing that people were reckless in their decision of choice on the person that they had a child with. She could have made a great decision based on the information that he gave her, based on the character that he displayed for her. And then that character could have deteriorated. It could have while she was pregnant. He could have been putting on a good face for her. But then when she ain't around, he trying to smash everything in sight. Now, men, you cannot tell me men don't behave like this. So she made a bad choice if he's good at lying. If he's good at playing a boyfriend role, she made a bad choice. That's unfair. That's unfair. Just like I would tell a man, if a woman seemed like a good motherly figure, she seemed feminine, she seemed like she'd be faithful and loyal to you, she seemed like she would follow your plan or work well with you in your plan so y'all can build a future together. But behind your back, she fucking every time, Dick and Harry. I can't tell you made a bad decision if the woman put on a good show. And I can't say that other women should punish you by not dating you in the future because you made a so-called bad decision. Do you understand? And then he said you're rewarding recklessness. Listen, guys, we actually cannot hold each other accountable. A person's accountability lies in their ability. A person's accountability lies in their ability to recognize if they've made a mistake. That's all it is to it. Nobody can make you see the mistakes that you make. In order to be accountable to the decisions you made, you have to recognize the flaw in the decisions that you've made. And the universe is thy greatest teacher. Guys, put a 1 in the chat. And I'm not asking you right now to consider the person you had a child with. Forget that person because you may hate them. But put a 1 in the chat if it wouldn't be an ideal situation that you were with your child's parent, man or woman. I know you don't like her. I know you don't like him. And I'm not asking about him or her specifically. I'm asking you in an ideal situation, consider your child right now. Would it not be is the most ideal situation that you have a child with the person you made it with, and y'all raise it together in the same home, and your child looks at both of y'all every day. Is that not the ideal situation? Put a 1 in the chat. I don't think anybody else out there said, I'm gonna have a baby by somebody and have somebody else raise it. I don't see how that would be an ideal. The ideal is the person you make the child with help you raise them in the same house and call you mama and daddy and see y'all every day. Sakona says, I'm childless. I'll sit this one out. Well, just imagine you had a child, Sakona. Imagine you were trying to have, you want to have a child. If you have a child, have your imaginary child. What would you consider is the best way of raising it? A, with the person you made the child with, and they can see their father every day and be led by their actual father. Or B, have a stepfather in the home. Or C, raise him with no man around. I can guarantee you the answer should be A. Your child sees their father, the physical embodiment of their future. They're directly connected to their ancestors, their grandfather, their grandmother. They get to see where they came from and look him in his face every day. They get firsthand representation of his character, how he laughs, his talents. They're not left in the dark about anything concerning their parents because they're raised right there with them. She says, absolutely, a 2-parent household. A child gets so much when they're raised with their parents, yo. I grew up without either one of mine, and I spent most of my life lost. I had to find myself through my own finding of my own talents. I didn't have a mother to look at. She died when I was 3 years old. So I didn't have a mother to mirror off of and say, what is she good at? This gives me indication as to what I'm good at. I didn't even have her grandmother or her grandfather. They was dead before I was born. So my mother lost her parents early. So I didn't even have a grandparent on her side. I only had one grandmother on my father's side, and she died when I was young too. So I knew of my father's talents because he traveled the city singing, but I wasn't around him enough to hear him laugh and hear how he jokes. I learned these things about my father as I got older and realized we got a lot in common. You understand? But a child lost not knowing what even attributes he gets from his mother or father, that is a trauma that most children don't even know they have. They not have a parent. If you're a parentless child, this is probably something you never even thought about. But a person who grows up with their parents gets a firsthand display of their mother and father and their skill sets, their talents, their gifts, their characteristics, their senses of humor. And you get robbed of that when you're not raised directly with your parents, man. Do you understand? So the universe is your greatest teacher. A woman, even with a stepfather in her life, she has learned because she has to see another child. She has to see her child either A, look at another man as a father figure or call that man father. She has to see that. And while she may be grateful that this man is fulfilling that role for her child and in her life, loving her and that child, this is a lesson that she always will have to see. Just like a man, if you make a child with a woman and that relationship doesn't work out, you're always faced with the harsh reality that your child doesn't likely live in your home, that you only get to see him every 2 weeks. If that alone doesn't make you be intentional, you're not going to learn any lesson by the reaction of people not dating your single mother or your single father. Or like I'm telling you right now, if you ain't learning by the universe alone, that ain't going to teach you shit. Because some people are just not very smart and they'll make a million mistakes and not see where they went wrong. They're just not very smart. They're going through life on autopilot. They don't think. Most of us, if you touch the stove, you realize it's hot and you won't touch it again. Some of us, though, are dumb as shit. Okay? And we'll make a million mistakes and still don't realize it. We'll still be making excuses for the mistakes we made. People like that, it ain't nothing you can do. Because you can't hold someone accountable. You can't squeeze logic in somebody else's head. You can't squeeze accountability in somebody else's character. You just can't. And once you recognize that, you won't choose people who can't be accountable. You won't choose people who don't operate on logic. Do you understand? Let's continue.
We don't like to talk about it, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it. But we got to let consequences teach what comfort never will. So if you didn't create a child, you're not responsible for the cleanup. Hold the man responsible and let that woman sit with the choices she made. And I think only then will the culture, will the community start to shift. Until then, we're just enabling and calling it love.
Now, again, Darwin, I respect where you're coming from. You're pushing for accountability, and that's needed. But we have to be careful because some of our reasoning, some of your reasoning is built on fallacies. You have some flaws in your logic that actually weaken the foundation of your argument. Let's think more critically about it. Number one, Darwin, when you said if men stop dating single mothers, women will choose better men and men will step up. That is a false dichotomy, Darwin. You framed it as though only two outcomes exist. Women pick better or fathers magically step up. But life isn't that neat. Many fathers will still abandon their responsibilities, and some women would still choose poorly, and countless children would be left without support. And here's another presupposition buried in your logic, Darwin, that women without children are somehow better for relationships or marriage, but every woman was once childless. Many childless women still use men for money, they trap men for pregnancies, or they manipulate their way into child support. So childlessness doesn't equal quality. It's character that does. Now, a balanced thought is this: accountability can't be about punishing children or glorifying women without children. The question is always, does the person have character? That's what matters. Number two, Darwin, there was also a hasty generalization in your argument. You said men are rewarding recklessness by playing stepdad. That's a hasty generalization. You're using negative stories. Goodness, my son is calling me. Give me 1 second. Hey, son, what's up? I'm live. Can I call you back? Hang on. So number two, Darwin, is a hasty generalization. So you're using negative stories of some stepfathers and making them a rule for all. But countless families thrive because of step parents. Many men stepped in and gave children love, guidance, and stability when their fathers didn't. Those cases prove your generalization false. So let me ask, do we erase the millions of children who call their step parent dad or mom just to make your point? This is what I would ask him. Here's the balanced thought. Mistakes will always be made. People do pick wrong partners sometimes, but making a bad choice in love doesn't mean that they would be a bad parent ultimately. Doesn't mean that a woman or man doesn't have value for being a husband or wife. It doesn't make them unworthy of another relationship simply because let's say they did make a bad decision. What matters is growth, healing, and whether a person learned from the past. Does this make sense? This is without calling him a manipulator. This is without saying his logic is foolish or that he's ignorant. It's by simply refuting the argument, okay? Now, number three, there was a one-sided bias, Darwin. You said men shouldn't date single mothers. This is one-sided. You hold women accountable for having children, but you never tell women not to date men with children. That is a biased logic. For every single mother, there's a single father or multiple, as some women have children by multiple men. Some women have children by multiple women. So let's just say for every single mother, there is a single father, which means is not living with and raising their child in the same home. That's what I'm going to define single parent as. A person who is not living with their child and raising them in the same home, who is single. Okay, a single person who is not raising their child in the same home with the parent. That's what I would define as a step parent. And so for every man, there's a single father. Every single mother, there's a single father. So accountability has to be balanced, especially as it relates to creating a better world. So my question to you is, why does your standard only hold men accountable as it relates to not dating women, but men who are guilty of the same patterns, you're not asking women to avoid dating them? And you ask these questions to help him go back in his mind and say, you know what, you're right. You're right. A lot of men are out here still dating when they have children they're not taken care of. A lot of men have given these women children, are not taking care of them, or even are, but they're paying child support outside the home. And so women avoid these men. They cannot directly contribute to your home the same way a single man can with no children, because a portion of his resources and protection will always be dedicated to the children that he had outside of you. This would mean that you can never be his priority. Just like we tell women, you can never be his priority if the woman can never be his priority if she already has children. You have to say the same thing about men, right? So again, balanced thought, true accountability says men must show up for their children and women must co-parent with maturity. Both are responsible. Both must choose wisely, and both should be judged on their character, not just whether or not they have children. So the answer to holding men and women accountable is saying, if you don't work out, you still got a co-parent. You still have to work with them. So far too many times we like to break up. We don't get along no more. We got to break up, right? I don't like you. You don't like me. We disagree. We breaking up. Okay. But we still going to have to work with this child. So you don't get to get rid of them and put them out of your life completely when you have a child with them. I don't care how bad you hate them. And so this should be considered before you sleep with someone, not just before you make a child, because sex is prayer to God. That action right there is what gets a child. So if you don't want to be in a relationship, whether it be co-parenting relationship, long term with somebody, get to know them first. And even that logic is faulty, because getting to know them first doesn't automatically equal a healthy relationship or a healthy co-parenting relationship. Let's be honest. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you guys can still hear me clearly. I want to make sure that there's no breaks. I haven't saw a comment for the last few seconds here. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. Okay, so next I would say there's also a red herring in your argument. And let me show you what a red herring is, okay? If you guys don't know, a red herring is a fish. But when you're talking about debate no-nos, it's actually this. A red herring is a misleading cue, a clue, or distraction that diverts attention from the main issue or argument, often used in literature, debates, and discussions. The definition of a red herring. A red herring is a term used to describe something that misleads or distracts from a relevant point or important question. It can be a logical fallacy or a literary device that leads readers or audience towards a false conclusion. This tactic is often employed intentionally in mystery fiction or rhetorical strategies such as politics to divert attention from the main topic. So he has a red herring in there. He says the language legacy. It shifts focus from children to pride. Raise another man's legacy. Okay, whether we call it legacy or lineage, these are still human beings who deserve stability. The child isn't the enemy, the dysfunction is. So raise another man's legacy. You just reduce him down to another man's legacy, as if that's a reason to write off the child, this human being. Okay. And if we do that, this child will go to, if the man is not already in his life, if the father's not already in his life, this child could go without having a father figure in their life. Meaning, who are they going to glean their masculine traits from? Who's the woman going to learn how a man should treat a woman from? So now you have a child who will be out here with trauma, recreating the same cycle that we have potentially. Okay. So a more balanced thought is, instead of saying no man should be out here raising another man's legacy, it should be legacy is more than buildings and names. Legacy is teaching, it's protecting, it's empowerment of the next generation, it's skills passed on. And as tribal people, guys, our ancestors understood this. Children who didn't have parents, we still taught them how to hunt. We still taught them how to protect. We still taught them how to arch an arrow, how to aim an arrow. We still taught them how to skin a hide. And these traditions carry on. These skill sets carry on, whether it's your legacy or lineage or not. Whether this child comes from your loins or not, they could still be your legacy, family. A stepchild can still be your legacy. Do you understand? Our legacy is not just in buildings and what we own or land. Our legacy is in the mentality that we pass down, the skill sets that we pass down, the morals, the character that we pass down. And this can very much be passed down to a stepchild. Put a 1 in the chat if you had a great stepfather that taught you values that you now teach your children. Again, or would teach your children if you had them. I think Sakona said she doesn't have children, but she had a great stepfather. So if your stepfather or stepmother taught you values that you would pass down to your children or currently are, put a 1 in the chat. Okay. So legacy is more than buildings or names. It's teaching, protecting, and empowering the next generation. A tribe understands this. In a tribe, even if the biological father is absent, uncles, elders, and step parents step in. That's what it takes to raise a village. It takes a village to raise a child. That's what it means. Families may break, but tribes fill the gaps. Step parenting, blended families, and polygamy aren't weaknesses. I'm going to say that again. Step parenting, blended families, and polygamy aren't weaknesses. There are survival strategies that make sure no child gets left behind. Somebody put that in. No child should get left behind. No child should get left behind. I'm a Dr. Umar this thing. No child should get left behind. I even sniffed behind it, okay? No child should get left behind, y'all. So the real issue is this. Accountability matters, but Darwin's logic presupposes that women with children are damaged and women without children are better. And that's not true. Both groups can be toxic and both can be honorable. The truth is this: mistakes in choosing a partner don't erase your worth as a parent. I'm going to say that again. Mistakes in choosing a partner does not erase your worth as a parent. What matters is whether you grew, whether you co-parent with respect, and whether you're building character. We should all be trying to be a better person than we were yesterday. So tribe is always the solution. When we operate as a tribe, mistakes don't destroy children's futures because the community steps in. Step parents, uncles, extended family members, grandfathers, football coaches, teachers, preachers even. And yes, polygamous structures all help raise strong children. Accountability without tribe is punishment. Accountability with tribe is restoration. Accountability without tribe is punishment. Accountability with tribe is restoration. And that's the difference. So think of it like a broken branch on a tree. Okay. Alone, that branch will wither. But if you graft it back into the tree, it can bear fruit still. Families work the same way. Tribe is the graft. It doesn't erase the mistakes. It redeems them. Do you understand? It doesn't erase the mistakes. It redeems them. As a stepfather, you may not be the roots to that child, but you can be the sunlight. So you may not be the reason for the child's existence. You didn't plant the seed, so the roots don't belong to you. The roots will always be connected to the biological parents. As a step parent, know this as women and men. If you are step parents, you didn't plant the seed. No, you didn't birth the seed. No, you didn't sprout it and you didn't plant it. So the roots are connected to the biological parents. It's their lineage, but it can still be your legacy. For you are the rain. You can be the sunlight. You can be the gardener that helps to provide structure. You ever see a gardener come out and put a stick in the ground and that plant that's failing to stand up upright, they lean it up against it, take a little string and tie it to it. You ever see a gardener come out and cut off the yellow leaves? the dry brown leaves so the energy can be focused into the rest of the plant and not be wasted on those broken leaves. That's what you as a step parent does. Bad behaviors that they could have learned through your absence or the parent's absence, or even in watching the parent, you are there to clip them off, show them that that's not the way, and teach them the correct way as a parent. And you should be able to do this without putting your hands on them. I've heard too many men say, well, if I can't whip them, I don't want to parent them. Why is that your go-to move? Why shouldn't it be if I can't discipline them? Which means, can I provide structure to your child? Can I provide to them structure, something they do as a regiment daily to become better men and women? Make your bed. Do your homework. Did you do your push-ups today? Did you do your workouts today? Are you understanding? Providing discipline is much better than punishment. I wouldn't want to punish a stepchild, but I definitely want to be there to help discipline the child. Like I wouldn't punish or whoop my football. If I'm a football coach, I don't want to whoop the guy. I don't want to whoop the young man. If I'm a karate coach or a boxing teacher, I used to teach boxing to a lot of kids. I don't want to whoop them. I want to discipline them. So get those sit-ups in, get those push-ups in. These things make you tougher. They make you stronger. Why am I bouncing the weighted bag from side to side? Why am I doing that? Because it strengthens your obliques. This gives you a more powerful punch. Why am I doing squats? Why am I jump roping? Because your power ultimately comes from your legs. It transfers to your obliques. Your obliques is how you transfer that punch to your upper body and then to your hands. So if I don't strengthen all these things around you, your punch will not get stronger. So I can't just get in here and show you how to punch. I also have to strengthen your body so that your punches are more effective. Does this make sense? This is discipline, family. Discipline. Mr. Miyagi said, wax on, wax off. Karate Kid said, why am I doing this? Your knowledge of why you're doing this is not important. What's more important is that you do it. So now he's having to do wax on, wax off. He didn't realize that later on, his blocking would consist of that same motion. And because he had to do wax on till his arms were sore, his blocking is now stronger because he had to do some work. Now, in the beginning, he said, man, you just got me waxing your windows. You just putting me to work. You're not teaching me karate. Teaching you karate won't make you strong. It teaches you a skill, but you need to be strong enough to block them. If I just show you how to block, his attacks will go right through your weak ass block. So this wax on, wax off strengthens your body so you can actually be effective in blocking. Listen, guys, I've had many people I try to train to box, right? Their block is weak. I can punch your glove and make your glove hit you in the mouth because you don't know how to block. But if you hit them push-ups in, they make your arms stronger. They make your shoulder stronger. They make your triceps stronger, your chest stronger. This actually ultimately strengthens your block and it makes your body more durable. When you're doing push-ups, you're in the plank position. This strengthens your core. When I tell you to drop those knees to your chest, this strengthens your core. You might think I'm just trying to work you, but I'm not. When your coach tells you to do suicides, you might think they're just trying to get you tired, but they're not. In a basketball game, guys, the ball switches hands often, and you have to switch directions often. And this game doesn't stop. If I don't condition you for the game, you having skills to play basketball is irrelevant. You're good enough to make the team, but now it's time to get to work. Does this make sense? So again, you may have not planted the seed. You may have not birthed the seed or sprouted the seed as a woman or man, but you can be the sunlight. You can be the rain. You can be the gardener to this child, to this seed, to this offspring. And that does go into your legacy. See, my legacy is also what I teach my children, my morals, my philosophies, the skill sets that I give them. These things are passed down from generation to generation. It's not just about tangible objects, family. Yeah, everything is kung fu. I like that. Yeah. Let's continue this debate. Because we're going to get through this, okay? And debates are not about you destroying another person, okay? But I brought light to Darwin's argument. And if he saw this, he may say, you know what, I can take some of that into consideration. And if I took that into consideration, my fallacies in my logic, I would come out with a different idea. I would come out with a different argument. And we should all weigh our thoughts through logical fallacies, through critical thinking errors, because we don't know when we're doing it. And so a person who has a heart to actually make the world a better place may have flaws in their logic and actually make the world worse because they didn't consider the flaws in their logic. Okay, he would have left millions of children out here with no father in the home, father figure in the home, simply because of his statement here. If he had it his way, and he may look at this 10 years later, if he had it his way, and be like, damn, that wasn't that wasn't the right move to make. That wasn't the right suggestion there. Okay, and we all learn from that. We all have to learn and grow. Let's continue though.
But this is a hard choice to make. But I think if we start doing this, it's going to cause a huge paradigm shift.
So the solution is basically manipulation.
So his solution was suggesting that men no longer date single mothers. He could very well mean this. So to call it manipulation, again, breaks down a conversation. If you guys do this, and if you guys have a man in your home and he says something like this to you, or he said something to you that you can see some errors in, if you call him a manipulator, you're going to lose him. You guys are going to be in there arguing and fighting like cats and dogs, and you're not going to be actually dealing with what he said. So if you call him a manipulator, you're going to lose him. So it's best to not do that. If you can pick apart his logic without calling him a manipulator, do that. That's the best way to go about this. So even though she's going to make some great points, she would lose points right here in a debate, and she could actually have more logic, have more to offer, but lose the debate. Okay? This is how a lot of times you guys are voting for the wrong people, because the person who is making sense, they either lose you because they're not doing all this silly stuff. Like Trump does a lot of silly stuff when he's talking, and he doesn't even answer questions half the time, and all of a sudden you're still voting for him. It makes no sense. But let's continue. She said your solution is manipulation. No, it was accountability. His solution was accountability. But if she did not say this, and she just talked about widows, women not always been in this situation simply because of bad decision making, she would have been picking apart his argument, and she did. But she did make some debate errors here, guys. Okay, it's not important that he's manipulating, even if that was his goal. You don't need to point that out in a debate or in your home. You don't need to say, well, you're very manipulative, and I don't like your tone. These will break down your conversation with your man. And if imagine you go to your man and you say, listen, babe, can you help me some with this cleaning work? If you do that, baby, I'll put it on you later. What if he go, man, you being very manipulative. You're trying to use sex when you're going to put it on me anyway. Sex should be something we do anyway. Now you're going to feel like he trying to tell you a manipulator, and you're going to be like, that wasn't my intention. I was just trying to I'm trying to catch more. You catch more bees with honey, right? So I just thought if I told him, you know, baby, come on, help me out here, and I'll put it on you later, I thought that would brighten your mood and you wouldn't mind helping me out. I'm just tired. Well, but you could have just said that. Just say you're tired, man. Just say, I would really appreciate it if you help me out a bit. My back is hurting. I heard it earlier, or just not really tired. I'm just really tired today. I'm just not having the best day. I don't feel too good. Do you mind helping me out, honey? You don't have to offer me sex, yo. Don't play with me, because we're going to be doing that anyway. What you mean? I don't want to be married to a woman that I got to clean up to get some sex from. You make me feel like I'm low value when you say that. You make me feel like you don't necessarily want me when you said that. Just let me do it because I want to do it for you. But don't come and try to use sex to get me. That's how you got them niggas early in life. I ain't them niggas. See, and now all of a sudden you guys are arguing. Well, I ain't meant it like that. You always trying to think somebody trying to manipulate you. I just wanted you to help me. Right. You could have just asked me to can help you. Right now you're arguing. Nobody likes to be called a manipulator. That's my point. Okay. And you may have not been trying to manipulate them when you said, hey, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. That may have not been your goal to manipulate. That could just be how you feel like you catch more bees with honey. But he might have heard that and said, I don't like how that sounded. It sounded like you saying that if I help you clean, and all of a sudden that's why you're gonna. No, I don't like that. Don't use sex to try and get me to help you around the house. That's crazy. You know, let's continue though.
We are going to not listen to anything women have to say about what they need in order to feel.
Right here, another ad hominem here. The first one was an attack on the man. And an ad hominem, guys, is defined as an attack on the man. And let me show you guys that one. Okay, let me show you guys that one. Put a one in the chat if you're learning something. Put a one in the chat if the things I'm saying is making some sense to you guys. Okay, I'm gonna make sure you guys are with me. Put a one in the chat if you're learning something. Okay. Okay, great. So look, guys, an ad hominem is the Latin term meaning to the person. It refers to the type of argument or fallacy where an individual attacks the character, motive, or other attributes of the person, making an argument rather than addressing the argument itself. So it's where you attack the character. I think you're being very, I think you could say, I think you've been hurt. I think that you hate women. This is attacking the character. Motive, I think you're being manipulative. I think you're trying to back women into a corner. I think you're trying to punish women or other attributes with your bald head, right? With your weird shaped head, you know, because people like to talk about your looks instead of what you just said, right? This tactic is often used to discredit the opponent's position without actually engaging in the actual issue at hand. Ad hominem arguments are considered fallacious because they divert attention from the argument's substance, okay? And I love intellectual people. I do. But I want intellectual people to have a stronger argument by not ad homineming, because that actually weakens your actual argument to attack the person. No, don't do that, okay? Don't address the person. Address the logic in the person's thinking, okay? So imagine this. Hey, babe, will you help me clean a little bit? Will you help me with the dishes and the housework? And when we get done, I got a little something for you. I will put it on you. He could say, instead of saying you trying to be manipulative, he could say, baby, of course I'll help you, but I don't want you to offer me sexual favors for that help. I'm going to help you because I love you. I'm going to help you simply because you asked me, because you're tired, and I believe you. You don't ask me to do this all the time, so I want to be there for you. I want to help out. But I would appreciate it if the sexual things stayed in the romantic department, not because I did something outside of romance that you know somewhat earned that from me. That doesn't make me feel attractive as a man. Doesn't make me feel wanted as a man. Do you understand? And she might say, baby, I understand that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. You, instead of saying you trying to manipulate me. Do you understand? Communication, guys, is key in relationships if you're going to make them last. All right. Nobody likes to be told if they're doing all of that. OK, even if they are, because women oftentimes don't know that they're using sex to manipulate men. That's just how they move. I've seen women do it. If you get me something nice, I'll shoot. I ain't no telling what I might do. Now you done paid for dinner, took you out, bought your outfit and everything, and then you don't want to give up none. And he'd be like, but you said, then you say, well, you wanted to do that. No, I didn't. I didn't want to buy all that stuff for you. Why would I? What's in that for me? Just buying you stuff. You wanted to fly me out. You wanted to, you made it sound, man, stop. Let's continue.
Safe with men in order to.
So basically what she said was, let's let her say it again.
Feel safe with men, they have to say about what they need in order to feel to not live. The solution is basically manipulation. Again,
his solution was accountability, although it was one-sided and not well thought out. His solution was accountability, not manipulation. Okay, he never used that word. This is why she would lose points. Okay, she's changing his argument into something that he didn't say, and that's called a straw man. Okay, that's called a straw man, and let me show you guys that. A straw man fallacy is a logical fallacy. So it's also ad hominem because she's attacking the argument, but it's also a straw man fallacy. This is a logical fallacy that occurs when someone distorts or misrepresents the opponent argument to make it easier to attack. If I say that what you're doing is manipulation, it's easier to attack than when I say it's accountability. Definitions and characteristics. A straw man fallacy often involves misrepresenting an argument by oversimplifying it. She just oversimplified it by calling it manipulation. Exaggerating it. She does that by saying you're trying to back women into a corner or punish women, okay? Or completely fabricating it. Instead of addressing the actual argument presented, the person creates a straw man version of the argument that is easier to refute. This tactic gives the illusion of having defeated the person's position while avoiding engaging with the real issues at hand. Okay, that is a straw man argument. Okay, so she does straw man him here. It's not to say that she didn't make good points, but she did straw man him. She is ad homineming him. Okay.
We are going to
ignore women. He didn't say that. While his solution didn't include women who were lied to, women who had spouses that died, women who were married when they had children and the relationship may have just didn't work out. He left her, right? So like me and Jamie were together for years and I left. So he would be including her in that. And I wouldn't say any man should choose to not be there because I left. You understand? And so that would make no sense. She was with a guy for several years. She had all her children with one man. Man, she is not a red flag. I am the red flag. So it should have been women who said, I'm not dating you because you had 3 children with a woman and left her. No, I'm not dating you. You could do the same thing to me. And they'd have every right in saying that. If I haven't shown growth, if I haven't learned wisdom and realized the mistakes of my ways, the errors of my ways, she should say, nah, I can't date you because you're not really showing longevity. You got about 15 years and other than that, you could be subject to go. And these will be all fair assumptions. You understand? But he did not say, regardless of what the reason is, we're not going to date single mothers. However, he didn't include all categories of women, which would be hard to do, right? But she's assuming something here that he never said. Again, a straw man. So we're just not going to listen to what women have to say. That's a straw man. Listen.
Not listen to anything women have to say about what they need in order to feel safe with men, in order to actually be in these relationships and be healthy and happy. The answer that I just heard is to manipulate and to back women into a corner, because there could be many different reasons a woman has a baby by a man.
Now, she could have started the argument off by just saying, Darwin, I hear you out. I hear you. Accountability could potentially holding each other accountable. You didn't mention women not dating men with children, but I'm going to assume you mean that too. And she could have went from there and said, but are you considering this, that every woman isn't in that situation because they made a bad decision sexually? Okay. Some women have lost their man to unalivings, or he's passed away. Some people were couples and made a child on purpose, and the man and the relationship didn't work out. She could have gotten cheated on. She could have gotten beat on, abused. All these different things could have happened. Okay. As it relates to them being in a relationship. Are you speaking for all women, Darwin, or just women who present a toxic nature who have children? And she could have gotten more clarity from him on that, right? But instead she went with you're being manipulative and you're trying to back women in the corner and you're just going to ignore what women have to say on how they feel safe. And these are debate no-nos. She would have lost about 4 or 5 points before she even got to the actual logic that does expose the flaw in his logic. Okay, let's continue.
Not with him anymore. So you're basically disciplining women into only having babies by the men that they are married to, also not letting that man die on them or divorce them or leave. Like men, y'all have such a rigid view of how
Now,
things.
again, he made the hasty generalization by not, mentioning women who were widowed, all these different situations. But now she's making a hasty generalization by saying men have such rigid ideas. Not all men. Darwin does. Darwin has a rigid idea. And even telling him that he has a rigid idea does not refute his point. So that's another debate error that she would be making. Okay. So, but men don't have rigid views. This man does. Some men are very open-minded and they consider all things. And I believe that this is the goal for every person, is to not be rigid. That should be the goal for every person, is to not be rigid in their thinking. But again, this is a hasty generalization by saying that men, she just grouped men in. Let's continue.
Such a rigid die on them or divorce them or leave. Like men, y'all have such a rigid view of how things happen. You try to put every single thing in a box, and humanity does not fit in a box. Your solution just now is literally manipulation, and you cannot manipulate a woman being left with children. Be it whatever situation. Not necessarily she did something irresponsible to have that happen. There's nothing irresponsible about a woman being married, having a baby, and getting divorced or being a widow. Like, we have to be for real right now. We have to come up with actual solutions.
Okay, here we go. That assumes that he is not giving an actual solution. It may have not been complete, but he did give an actual solution. So it's almost like she's saying that wasn't a solution at all, right? And again, that is called an ad hominem. This is to say that he did not give a solution at all, when that's irrelevant, okay? Let that be in the exposure of the flaws in this logic. Let that all be concluded by the board and by the people on the panel. Let's continue.
Because your method of control is manipulation.
So he did say that there should be some sort of standard or control. There should be some. So he said your method of control is manipulation. No, it's accountability. Again, it's not manipulation. Okay, let's continue. She made some good points, but I'm just calling out the errors in how she's confronting him and not the topic.
There's nothing to solve the problem. The only thing this particular method is going to do is cause an even bigger problem.
That is true.
Because
now look, she says the only thing your method is going to do is to cause an even greater problem. And she goes, because, and I would love for her to elaborate on why it would cause a bigger problem. And one of the reasons is because you're leaving his accountability argument here would leave out so many children from having a father figure in their life. You understand? Simply because the man he's presuming the man isn't there, right? And that not dating her would make him step up. If that would fix the homes, man, then let's do it. But that it won't. It's not what's going to fix our homes. Okay, let's continue.
I want you all to get the word legacy completely out of your vocabulary.
Now, again, this is a red herring. She's refuting another point that wasn't a point that he made. He simply said taking care of another man's legacy. And now she's playing word semantics on what legacy actually means. Okay. That's a moot point. I wish you wouldn't even have said that. Okay. I wish you would have just elaborated on why this would be damning or damaging to the community versus helping it. Because she said it like she was going to say it, but she did not. Let's listen again.
And I also want anything your method, this particular method is going to do is cause an even bigger problem. Because
she should have elaborated on the bigger problem that it would cause. Instead, she went to this.
And I also want you all to get the word legacy completely out of your vocabulary. Because I can guarantee you, there will be no one that remembers most of you guys' names. Your names aren't on buildings. Your names are not in subdivisions. You can't use your names. You don't have a legacy that you're leaving to a child. You do have lineage. So taking care of another man's lineage would be the verbiage that you would use.
Good for you.
That would be the verbiage that he would use right there, taking care of another man's lineage, because you're talking about his biological creation, right? But you do have a legacy, and it's not just what's written on a building. It's not just your land. It's not just your accomplishments or what you can tangibly pass down. Okay, let's continue. Intangible, guys, are things that you can hold on to, that you can touch with your hands: money, assets, land, buildings, so forth and so on. Your last name is a legacy. Your character is a legacy. Your reputation, the morals, the character that you teach your child is also legacy. Okay, let's continue.
And white
men who are building communities, who have built things with their names on it, who are in history and record books. That's a legacy. That's what you leave your children. The legacy is what you leave your children.
All right. So
real thing.
I'm not surprised by you, Boheme, associating manipulation with a man, men holding men accountable.
Yeah, right there. He's making a debate error as well, which is another ad hominem. I'm not surprised by you, Boheme. Okay. He could simply just say, I never said anything about manipulation. I'm dealing with accountability. I've never said men should manipulate women in any way. I said that by men being accountable to not dating single mothers, it would hold other men responsible for taking care of their own children. I don't believe manipulation is required on any front. He didn't have to say, I reckon I should have known you would do this right here, right? And he's going to continue to do more. Let's continue. So he says she's jumped to the extreme. No, she simply, and to call that an extreme is again a red herring, because now you're trying to argue that something is extreme versus just dealing with her mentioning widows. Okay, what about widows? Okay, and he could just say, well, I have a solution in mind for widows. I didn't mention it in the beginning. Didn't think I would have to right now, but for widows, I believe that uncles, fathers, grandparents, other family members should step up and play a role in this child's life, okay, without telling her she jumped to an extreme. Do you understand? Imagine talking to your man. He go, well, you jumped to an extreme instead of just dealing with what you said, right?
Is a way to punish her. If you men holding men accountable.
Leave your children. The legacy is what you leave your children.
All right. So
real thing.
I'm not surprised by you, Boheme, associating manipulation with a man, men holding men accountable, and jumping to the extreme that a man becoming deceased is a way to punish her. If you needed me to add that in there, and I just would have thought you would have used some type of intelligence to compensate for the fact that maybe if the
this assumes that she didn't have any intelligence, right? So he's doing the same thing she's doing, and he would lose points as well. There's no need for you to say I would have thought you would have used some sort of intelligence, because that's demeaning. Okay, that's just easy. It's demeaning. It's an ad hominem suggesting that she didn't use any intelligence, but it's also demeaning. If a man says this to his wife, she's going to feel broken down, beat down, verbally abused. If a woman says this to her husband, he's going to feel the same way, unheard, disrespected. These are not words you guys we should be using this language with each other, let alone our spouses. Okay. And so he may have great qualities to be a good father. He may be a working man, a responsible man, but he's not showing that he has really mastered the conversational tool, which could break down his home. He could have all these great qualities about himself, but his home be riddled with misunderstandings and arguments, constant arguments, and he may think she just don't respect me. No, you demean her every time you talk. It makes it difficult to respect somebody who's taking shots at you and taking digs at you and taking chunks out of your confidence every time you speak. You trying to make me feel like I'm not smart because I said something that you think wasn't right. Like, come on now. And no man would want to be married to a woman who's just gonna simply call him a manipulator and tell him that he just not gonna listen to somebody else and just fail to take on what other women has to say. There's another way to say these things, guys. Let's continue.
Thought you would have used some type of intelligence to compensate for the fact that maybe if the father is deceased, then we would have a brother, an uncle, or his father, or a close male relative to pick up the slack. But I know some people need to be breadcrumbed until that
He's
type
still
of
doing it. I know some people, which is obviously he's talking about her, passive there. Some people need to be breadcrumbed. It's assuming that she's not smart enough to get it, and she needs all of these little clues to get to the same point. And again, this would break down your home, guys. If you're talking to each other like this, it's that passive aggressive type stuff. I wouldn't even want to have a conversation with somebody who's going to do me like that. I'm just going to be real with you. Okay, let's continue.
So there you have it. But no, the solution is accountability, not manipulation. What's manipulative is creating a life with a man you don't respect and then expecting another man to raise the child. Now,
again, a hasty generalization. What's manipulative is having a child with a man you don't respect. She could have respected him. She could have thought he was everything at that moment. You understand? So to assume she doesn't respect him and then she's expecting another man to raise it, again, hasty generalization and a false equivalency. That's called a false equivalency as well. One thing don't mean the other, okay? One thing does not mean the other, okay? Let me show you. False equivalence. False equivalence fallacy is a logical fallacy that occurs when two subjects are incorrectly compared as equivalent based on flawed reasoning, often ignoring significant differences. Definition: a false equivalence or false equivalency is an informal fallacy where an equivalence is drawn between two subjects based on superficial similarities while ignoring substantial differences. This fallacy often arises in debates and discussions leading to misleading conclusions about the subjects being compared. Okay, that's what that was just now, a false equivalency. What's manipulation is when women have children with men they don't respect and then expect another man to take care of it. No, like, what are we doing here? Right? Let's continue.
Manipulative is removing choice from good men, putting them in emotional traps, using guilt, shame, or hero messaging to make them play cleanup crew.
That is true. He's pointing out what he believes is manipulative. The first one was a false equivalency. He assumes that women are having babies with men they don't respect. This second one, though, is a fact. Taking the choice away from good men by using hero messaging. A good man to take care of another man's kids. You one of those good men, ain't you? Yeah, you know, using manipulative sign language to tell him, to make him feel like he's doing the righteous thing by doing this. That's manipulative, okay? But let's continue.
Is removing choice from good men, putting them in emotional traps, using guilt.
You ain't no real man if you won't be a stepfather. That's all I know. A real man would. That's manipulative. That's a fact. Let's continue.
To make them play cleanup crew. Choosing to walk away from that setup is not manipulation.
No, it's a man's choice.
Protection.
If a man were to say, look, I just want to start my own family. I don't want to be a stepfather to any child. I just want to raise my own children and nothing but that. But if you give me children, I vow to stay with you and raise them with you. But I don't want to raise another man's child. You can't blame him for that. Just like if a woman said, I don't want a man with kids. Her choice, guys. It's her choice, and she should have every right to have that choice. Okay, let's continue.
It's boundaries. It's finally saying no to being used.
Now,
The second chance
here's another
for
mishap.
someone else.
He said he's being used. He's not automatically being used. If he loves this woman, he want to take care of her and the child. That doesn't presuppose that he's being used. Do you understand? And so Darwin likely sees it as that you're using the man. No, it's not. Like, is a man using a woman whenever she's playing step parent? I don't believe so. You know, I believe that when people are going to still want to be in relationships, they're still going to want to have love and romance and things like that. And it's healthy for a child to see that as well. To call that being used is a hasty generalization, to assume that all men are being used. Again, a woman without children could use you. So saying I ain't dating a single mother because that means I'm automatically being used. So you're gonna date one that don't have a child already. Okay, she could use you too. It doesn't negate the other, right? Let's continue.
Or bad decisions. If holding people to the consequences of their own choices is now considered manipulation, and maybe the real issue is the expectation of being rescued without responsibility. That's the issue.
So you don't feel like
Rescue without responsibility. Another false equivalency. He's calling a man dating you after you have children, you being rescued. He's also calling it without responsibility. You're always going to be responsible for your child. And you should be responsible for co-parenting, which isn't ideal, but we do it, right? Let's continue.
you started off the sentence with, this is a great opportunity to hold men accountable.
Now, there go Bougie. So far, she is going about attacking his argument the correct way. Listen, she reminds him of what he says without saying something about him personally, that he was manipulating, that he was, angry with women or something like that. She says, you stated this, and then she's going to attack the argument. Watch.
The sentence with this.
That's the issue.
So you don't feel like you started off the sentence with, this is a great opportunity to hold men accountable. So I'm not saying that what you said is wrong or is right, but I think it should have been necessarily the kind of like the opposite. So instead of saying like, oh, men shouldn't be stepfathers, shouldn't it be women shouldn't date men that choose to walk away?
Right.
That's holding them accountable. That's giving them.
See, I wish I had some sound effects, because that's exactly how he worded it. We're going to hold men accountable. When you say hold men accountable, it sounds like you're saying that for those men who walk away, they shouldn't get another partner. They shouldn't get another partner to potentially do the same crap to. Okay? That I would have thought he was going the same way as well. I'm with her. Let's continue.
Some form of punishment, because you said you wanted to hold men accountable in that moment, and then you gave women a form of punishment. So
now I wouldn't call what he gave, I wouldn't call it a form of punishment, though. It's not a punishment. Okay, it's accountability. Okay, it may sound like it's punishment, but it's not. He never used that word. But she's making a hell of an argument. Let's continue.
Men a form of punishment by saying, because you said you want to be, women shouldn't date men that choose to walk away. That's holding them accountable. That's giving them some form of punishment, because you said you wanted to hold men accountable in that moment, and then you gave women a form of punishment. So give men a form of punishment by saying, no, you don't get to go have a girlfriend. I don't get to call you and ask you like, why can you get the kids this weekend? And you're telling me you took your girlfriend on a trip and you don't get to do stuff like that. So it's men should be held accountable. So it should turn into like, okay, the men can't go, the men can't walk away from the child that they made. The men shouldn't be dating outside of their baby mama. The men that is when I hear accountability, I hear how can we reinforce what we are expecting of the men? And that's not what we as women, and I don't want to speak for nobody up here, but I kind of do see some heads nodding. That's not what we as women just heard. What we as
this is another hasty generalization, because I heard the same thing, love, and I'm a man. So this is like a way to beg the question, they call it. Let me show you. I know you might think I'm being picky, but I want you guys to see all of these things that happen inside of conversations. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm going to call this emotional pleading. 1 second. Okay, here we go. And she on it too. She's very much on it. She's making a lot of great points, but I just want to show you guys right here when she recognizes that the women are nodding and she goes, we as women heard this. This is called emotional pleading, and you want to make sure that you're not creating an echo chamber around you, because you do want your thoughts to be clear as well. So emotional pleading, okay, is the action of making an emotional or earnest appeal to someone. So that was an earnest appeal or emotional appeal to women. That could work by getting them on your side now, because you're saying we as women feel this way. You can't speak for anyone but yourself, okay? So she could have simply said what I hear and just let those women continue to agree. What I hear is this. You see what I'm saying? And she could be very right that every woman on that panel heard it, but when she says we as women heard this, it's emotional pleading, because she's grouping. I heard the same thing. I'm a man, okay? Let's continue.
as women just heard was you say you wanted to hold men accountable and then talk about what needs to happen to the women that make poor decisions, not the men that are choosing to walk away.
Yes, exactly.
I did. Oh,
I concur.
Go ahead, and White. I'll go after you because I don't want to hog the mic.
And I wish that Darwin would have responded here, because I couldn't see him. So I respect how he thinks. He doesn't seem to argue with a lot of ego. If you hear him in other arguments as well, he doesn't seem to have a lot of ego. I think he would have said that's a rational opinion. When I tell men not to date single mothers, I didn't even consider if those men had children or not already. I just said men shouldn't do it. If he had said, men, if you are single and don't have children, you shouldn't date women without children, women with children. He just said men shouldn't date single mothers. So it seemed like he left the men with children completely free and clear to just keep dating and doing what they want. Right? Let's continue.
Go after you.
Yeah, so I know DJ wanted to say something as well. So I think let DJ go. Then we go back to Darwin.
So this just real quick. So Bougie, would you prefer that men are forced to have to be with women they impregnated?
That was Darwin's actual logic, is that men should be forced to step up by men no longer dating their exes, their baby mothers. And this would force the men to step up. So he was saying that. She didn't say that. She was asking, why didn't he talk about men and single fathers and them and women not dating them anymore? Okay, so the question was posed to the wrong person, I would say. Okay, but let's continue.
I mean,
to make sure they're held responsible.
Essentially, that is what Darwin just said.
She's right. That's what Darwin said. She's right. So she should have been the one posed with this question. Let's continue.
Saying it in the opposite gender.
two-part question.
Right.
So that man has 2 different women pregnant. Then what is he supposed to do?
But that is also a great thing.
Take care of both of his kids. If he got 2 different women pregnant, he should take care of both of his kids. And I know that the idea, because I'm polygamous too, but the idea is then they should just all move with him. It depends if he lied, and if he's lying and capping, and he got 2 women pregnant because he's not saying I got a girl, or he's out here just being frivolous with his seed, and in the same weekend he knocked 2 women up because he ain't wearing condoms. Why should women reward that by going and being with him in the same home and building with him? This doesn't mean that he has good character and good father traits. He should have to take care of both of his children. Now he has to co-parent with 2 women because he was out here being frivolous with his seed. That's what that would mean. This doesn't automatically equal polygamy, guys. Yes, it would give the children their parents in the home. That both of them had their father in the home. But him having 2 women doesn't mean he's going to be disciplined to be loyal to those 2 women. And this is for any man who's considering polygamy. If you're thinking about doing it simply because you like a variety of women, that's not going to make you disciplined to not cheat on the 1, 2, the 3, or the 4 that you have. Okay, polygamy is a commitment, just like monogamy is. Okay, if you cannot be committed and you can't be honest, you shouldn't be with anybody because you're going to be disloyal. You understand? Let's continue.
That I feel like also correlates to what Darwin said, which Darwin always talks about sexual discipline for women. Darwin always talks about consequences for women. My whole purpose in what I'm saying is if we're saying these women should not have stepfathers step in, there should not be a place to step into. So when everybody wants to have these conversations about women made poor decisions, okay, and she made a great decision to be accountable, because I've already stated this. When I look at my husband, I look at it like we was 19. He could have walked away. That's what most 19-year-olds.
See, we were 19 too. Neither of us walked away.
Want to do this. So there was no place for a stepfather to ever step in because he did the responsible, mature thing. So when we're talking about a woman getting a stepfather, it's because there's an empty space there. Men shouldn't, if we're going to say we don't want that empty space to be there, say nobody should be walking away to leave it there. We can't keep saying the woman needs to pick better and then, okay, so what? She didn't. Now you grow up and you be better.
No, yeah, I agree with you. That's why I don't get why I get pushback when I'm saying.
I like that. If she made a bad decision, I say cut that man off and don't deal with him if he got children out here he's not taking care of. But also, there could be programs in place that help to make that man a man. Tribes do this. They have a rites of passage where they take that man or a woman and they're going to forge you into being a better man or woman. It takes a village, guys. And if they realize you're still a child in your adulthood, then the job is undone. Do you understand? So I honestly believe that if people put a 1 in the chat if y'all agree with this, okay? If a couple recognized that they were pregnant and neither one of them were ready, they wasn't trying to make a baby, but this baby's coming, the woman has determined she's keeping it, and the man knows it's his. There's 9 months until you had this baby, potentially 7, because it may take her a while to realize she's even pregnant, all right? So let's just say at worst case scenarios, they got 7 months, 8 months to get prepared. There should be a program in place where he and she both can attend this program and learn the values of parenting, co-parenting, working together to help prepare them for this life that's coming. A program to where they can work to get to know each other better. If it was a one-night stand or if they didn't know each other that well, the family should intervene. You're pregnant. We want to get to know him. Let's have a sit down with his parents. Let's have a sit down with the whole family. Let's have a cookout. Let's invite them all over. And it should be a periodical thing that you do while this baby is on the way, that you formulate a relationship with this other family. You find out who's going to be the godfather and Who's going to step up for something where that happened? Who do you trust? Find out your medical history and background so you can make sure you understand what the child's going to be being born into. This will be very important. You got months, guys, before this baby's born. Put a 1 in the chat if you think it would be productive to do that. Number one, that there's a program in place that tries to provide you guys with the necessary information and skills on being a parent, working well in a relationship to make sure the child gets what they need, bringing your views together, your ideals, religious ideals, whatever they may be, so you guys can be functional. Even if you have different religious views, you already messed around now. And then, of course, the family, getting to know each other, getting to know y'all better, having cookouts where the family's getting to know each other. Wouldn't that be better, guys? Instead of just saying, I got a baby on the way, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, who's the woman? Let's bring her over. Let's meet her. Invite her parents too. Yo, if it takes a village, guys, this means all hands on deck. I only got 2 1s in the chat. They came from my wives. I appreciate those ones. But where is everybody at? It's 33 people watching. Donnie Watts says, okay, that's a 1. that's my son. What's up with you, son? That's dope. Made my day. Donnie, what? What kind of name is that? Yeah, I see it. That's funny. Oh, man. What do you think of this conversation, son? But Sakona says 1. Okay, cool. Yeah, you got a few months before the baby gets here, right? So let's get to know each other. It's crunch time. All hands on deck. If you don't have a plan for your family, you better get one. You got a few months. If you don't have skills that you believe can raise a family, I ain't ready yet as a man. I ain't even got a job. You better get one. Get with her daddy. He might have a place he can put you on. Get with your daddy. Now that he noticed, he might say, son, you got to get under the wing, man. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue.
People have all of these different families out here floating around. I'm saying y'all need to combine all of that shit and operate as one. That's my whole premise. If you put all of these families together, maybe we'll get a better result. You get a father in the house and multiple incomes or whatever, and multiple generations of people helping and assisting.
I don't disagree with this, guys, because the child will have their father and mother in the house. I can't disagree with that. But we don't want to create trauma in the home, so make sure that you guys understand what y'all getting into, that you guys have the right character. You know how to have a conversation with each other without arguing and fighting in front of your child, disrespecting each other in front of your child. Because parents who do that, I got to be honest, your children are better off without witnessing that in their home. So let's continue.
My whole point from the very beginning in regards to that. But I don't know, it be get demonized sometimes. But what's worse is having a baby here, baby there, baby here, baby there. They don't see their father. Right. They, like, you splitting household income. Like, the solution to me is like from a logical stance. It just seemed like that would make the most sense if you already done made the mistakes of having, you know what I'm saying? And if you was, and then I add you one more. If you were a woman that had multiple children by different fathers, after the second one, if you didn't want to be in a polygamous relationship, then get a child to the father. I would be fine with that too.
It ends here.
First child. I'm not gonna say I hate that idea, because at the end of the day, like, my thing is this.
So it ends there, but I'll say this, okay? Giving the child to the father, it's really based on the child's age. I don't think a child should be given to their father any earlier than 5 or 6, unfortunately, because a mother's a nurturer, and that time is very vital. Especially younger than that, when she's still breastfeeding and nursing and things of that nature. It ain't just about putting a bottle in that baby's mouth or a nipple in that baby's mouth. That baby corresponds with that mother's body temperature when she holds the baby. When she's there's a whole lesson I could do on this, but I have to re-up on my information. I don't want to say anything wrong, but there's so many biological connections that a child has to their mother. So earlier in life, It's better that the woman is raising the child. I said son, but the children. But that is an option. When a child can go with their father and it's healthy for them to go with their father, to let the father of the child raise them. That's an option. But also, men can also live in the same home. Multiple men can live in the same home with the woman and with the children they made. That money still works the same way. Okay. I know you're probably thinking, well, they wouldn't sleep together. Would they both be sleeping with her? I wouldn't necessarily say that. I wouldn't say you have to sleep together at all. But pooling together your resources is definitely ideal. Okay. And giving your children the parents that they deserve is definitely an ideal. Okay. May get a super big house and may move your next woman in if you're not going to both be with her, whatever the case may be. But I think that we should be making decisions that suit the children for our ancestors, the ones who are going to supersede us, our ascendants, okay? Not descendants, our ascendants. Justice says, I think where they are going wrong in this video is getting caught in the man versus woman battle. It dilutes the debate and makes it harder for one side to see the other. That's a fact, rather than everyone hearing each other equally. Also, hi, what's up, son? Great opinion, great contribution to this live. My son, who's 19, look at what he said, y'all. I think where they went wrong in this video is getting caught up in the man versus woman battle. It dilutes the conversation, it dilutes the debate, and makes it harder for one side to see the other. And I do agree. Okay, I do agree with that. And that's on Darwin. If Darwin had a prefaced this better, with in order for men and women to perform better as parents, they need to be held accountable. If you already have a child, no one should be dating you. And this is for men and women. No one should be dating men with children. No one should be dating women with children. Tell them to go home and raise their kids together. That still wouldn't lead to a healthier world, so to speak. It would definitely, I ain't gonna say it wouldn't, it would, but it wouldn't cover all the bases. You understand? It wouldn't cover all the bases. So, again, guys, I think that was a great discussion. I don't want to keep you guys past the time because there's so much more I can say on this topic, and I want to have Chatty Cathy with me and some of the others back with me. Chatty didn't get a chance to speak last time, so I definitely want to do this again whenever she can be available to actually give her thoughts. Again, I'd love to have all of them back up here like I did the last time. And so this time I wanted to be able to get through this debate before we go into the other topics surrounding step parenting, because there's so many topics to dive into. Okay. The next video, we're going to be talking about the experiences of stepfathers and stepmothers and how quickly we make that hyperbolic into no man should do it. Right? No man should do it. And I'm going to give you guys an example before we get off. Okay. 1 second. Here's an example of one of the videos that we will be going over, okay? Rites of passage. Absolutely. That's what's missing. It's true. It's true, Sakona. Listen at this.
A sucker if you're a step parent. Straight like that. So I got 2 stepdaughters, right? One of them shipping out to the army in about a month. So yesterday we sitting on the couch, we chopping it up. And she's like, yeah, I had to make a will. And I had to put people in charge of my body and my money. God forbid anything happen. But she goes, just in case though. But if I do die, I left everything to my dad. So I paused for a second. I said, huh? Yeah, I left everything to my dad. I figured like he'll do the right thing. I said, everything? Yeah. I said, you know, the car? Yeah. I bought you the car. All your jewelry? Yeah. I bought you that. I go to the room, I'm watching TV, all in my feelings, you know, a tear fall from my eye. On the way to Crumble Cookie, she called me. Yo, Rob. Sure enough, she got a flat. She's like, yeah, I got a flat. What do I do? Call your motherfucking daddy. You a sucker if you a step.
Now, again, based on his experience, every man now is who's a stepfather is a sucker. Right? So every man now is a sucker because of his anecdotal experience, in which where the mother of the child didn't disrespect him at all. He's talking about something the stepdaughter did. Thank you, Black Lucian. Black All Lucian. Thank you. He's talking about something that the stepdaughter did, and now he's telling the world that you're a sucker if you're a stepfather. You understand? So he's taken his anecdotal experience to the world and said, this is a rule of thumb for everybody. You a sucker if you're a step parent. Okay? Now, I'm going to let you guys hear my argument to this video, and then we're going to end it. Okay? Let's go. And I'm going to be doing this with many different experiences from stepfathers and stepmothers, because they like to make these harsh determinations from something that happened in their life, but it's not the answer for everybody. It's what happened with you. Okay? But let's listen to this. All right, so that cuts deep, first of all, because many stepfathers play the silent backbone, right? Providing cars, jewelry, food, love. And when it comes to legacy, recognition, or if that relationship with the mother ends, they often are removed or erased right out of the script as if they've never been there to begin with. Often they don't even want them interacting with their children anymore. I get it. But here's the problem I have with the video. His issue is with how the daughter treated him. His issue is with how the daughter treated him, okay? Not the mothers. The mother's not disrespecting him. The mother's not devaluing him. She simply did not meet his false expectation. And this is why I wrote the book, Before You Marry That Single Mother, because I want men to understand, before they take on the role of a stepfather, that there are guidelines, places they should keep their heart in check by understanding their role. Of course, you're going to fall deeply in love with this child as you be there to nurture this child and see it grow up. But the fact is, you're not their biological parent. You didn't plant that seed. So their roots will always be that of the biological father. You may be the sunshine. You may be the rain. You may be the gardener. But when it comes down to it, they're going to always long for their biological parents, guys. And this is why you have to consider this before you do it. I'm sure that man did not buy the cars, the jewelry, or anything like that with an expectation that he'd get it back. But upon hearing that she didn't write him in the will for the cars and the jewelry, he got upset. And whenever she asked for his help later on to fix the car, this is where it showed that he had been stepping up for her. Because in her moment of need, who did she call? But what did that make him feel? Used instead of recognized. And he said, get your daddy to do it. Well, if you went into this with the right understanding, would you have gotten her daddy to get the car in the first place? Because you can't replace her father. That's the number one rule. Understand, you're not there to replace anybody. You're here to fulfill a role, okay? Help the mother as much as you can to make sure that child has what it needs. But you can never be their father, ever. They're always going to long for their actual biological father, man. You got to understand this. And the fact is this: you married the lady because you love the lady. The child comes with the package. You grow to love the child. But it's not like you married the lady because you wanted to adopt the child. So men have to understand this. Whenever you stepfather in a child, keep your expectations in check. Do things with a pure heart, not for any expectation on the back end, not with some idea that you're going to somehow be placed above her actual biological father. Listen, he can never be there at all, but they'll always be connected to their roots. They'll always long for that. And I've seen it. I've seen men be there for their stepchild, play the role, do everything that and more than what an actual daddy could ever do more than their daddy did for them. As soon as that father wants to be in that child's life, they're right there with open arms, because it just happens, man. So love the child, be there for it, but you cannot expect to actually be their biological parent. And this is why it's a thankless job. This is why it requires a great man to do this, because it often comes with no recognition. Here's what I would suggest. Love the child in a pure way. Any man marries a woman, you should be able to see her in your plan anyway. If you have a business, she's working with you to help build that business. This means her children should also be working with your tribe to hunt, just like it would be in nature. And I think we forget about all of that. Okay? If you can't see a use for a woman, if you can't see a value in a woman, you shouldn't be marrying her anyway. Because marrying a woman who's not going to contribute to your legacy anyway is a waste of your legacy and your funds, your provisions and everything. Marry somebody you can build with. And the children also should be somebody you can build with. Just like your children should be somebody that you can build with. Your children should be helping you with the hunt, not just being there for you to provide for them. Too many times we do that. Our children are asking for allowances when they are old enough to be bringing meat home for themselves. You don't see the lion do that. The young, the cubs, go and help hunt. So it's better to put them in a position to thrive by having them help you build your legacy. But we're going about it the wrong way. We're only in the position of providing, and I don't know if we're actually leading here. Okay? So I just suggest any man, before you take on a family and raise somebody else's children or play a part in raising somebody else's child, understand your role. I hear too many times men saying, well, when it comes time for me to discipline that child, they don't want me to. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be disciplining the child to the point where you have to put your hands on them. You should allow the responsibility to be on that mother and father. You're playing a role here. That's not your actual child. I think all these things should be considered. Get the book before you marry that single mother, so you guys can understand the lane you're supposed to be in, because you're moving far too far into the bazaar, and that's why you're getting your feelings hurt. Do you understand? Anyway, be evolution, be the change that you want to see. No candle loses its flame from lighting another, and if you were to ever find yourself in the middle of chaos, it's in that chaos that you find yourself. And yeah, because he got let down by her not putting him in the wheel and putting her father instead, now he's out here deeming all men suckers for being a step parent. Come on, man. Come on now. That's crazy. I bet the next time she needs a car, or that second child, he said he has 2 children with her, if she needs a car, he'll probably be reluctant to get that car, because now he'll be thinking with expectations. When you bought that car because you needed it, man. That's why you bought it. You bought that jewelry because it was gifts for her. You bought that as a gift. That didn't come along with. Now listen, if you write a will, put me in it. And I'm not just making excuses for the young girl. I'm trying to get you guys to understand it. She never asked for this either. She would probably prefer her mother and actual father stay together. But she's now working with this guy. She probably loves him too. She calls on him when she's in need, as you can see. And then she got this will put in front of her, and she thought about her dad. She trusted him to do the right thing. This must mean that he does play a role in her life still. So the stepfather should be on the other side of that, saying, well, wait, I bought that. Wait, and I bought that. Come on, man. Now all stepfathers are suckers. Why did you become a stepfather? I guarantee you it wasn't because you wanted to adopt that little girl. It was because you loved the mother, and the little girl came with the package. You understand? Stay in your lane. Peace. All right. No man marries a woman just so he can adopt her child. No man does that. No man does that. You love her and the children come with the package. I have never seen a man look at a child and be like, that's a great child. I'm going to marry your mother so I can be your new dad. You would think he was a weirdo. If a man came up to y'all ladies was like, look, I love your children. Just imagine that he's their football coach or PE teacher or earth science teacher and shit. He's like, I love your twins, yo. I think they're amazing. Are you single? Like, what do you mean am I single? I would like to marry you so I could like formally be their dad and see him all the time. You'd be like, if you don't get your weird ass away, police, help! Police! Justice said that would definitely be mad suspicious. Dr. Umar voice, you don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? So just learn to stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane, all right? Till next time, family. I love you all. Peace. Drewski,